Welcome to Meet My Mutual with Sarah and Ava. Pour some wine, light a joint, or don't, and meet my mutual.
That was really satisfying.
Now I'm feeling.
She's ready.
She's rocking and rolling. How's your wine?
It's good. It's smooth.
Oh, you know what I watched? I binge watched was The Undoing.
I need to watch it. It was good.
Okay. The bad reviews are warranted. Like what they were saying is correct. Like why it was bad. But in terms of a good binge, it's a great binge. Does that make sense?
I think I'll do that this weekend. I need to watch that. But I found like accidentally a potential spoiler, I think. Because I was scrolling on Instagram.
if you're watching, spoiler alert ahead for The Undoing.
Well, I don't know. You tell me if this is a spoiler. But I saw this thing on Instagram that was like Nicole Kidman's coats hinted to the killer the whole time. Don't tell me anything more. But I was like, oh
no. No, I think that's just a joke because her coats were fire.
Okay.
No, it was like, I would say, if I had to describe it to someone, I would say it's Big Little Lies meets SVU meets Gossip Girl.
Wow, this sounds great.
And I only say the Gossip Girl part because it's set on the Upper East Side and they shoot at the same school that the Gossip Girl kids went to.
That's so funny.
Yeah. But no, it was good. I mean, listen, Nicole Kidman's not my favorite, but I can't deny, like, she's a good actress for, like, what she does.
I think she's good. You don't like her?
She's not my cuppa. I don't know.
Fair.
I don't know. I got some issues with her. But also she dated Tom Cruise.
I know. Weren't they married?
Oh, yeah. They were, like, together.
There's an amazing picture of her. I have to send it to you.
Like, oh my God, wait. When she's leaving the courthouse?
The divorce papers. Yes,
she's like throwing her arms up in the air. Yeah, good for her. Okay, right. I take it back. I don't not like Nicole Kidman, but, like, I don't know.
She's fine. I get it.
I guess I would like to see some more diverse people cast than seeing her on my screen every year.
Fair. That's very fair.
But she does what she does well. But you have to watch that movie Honey Boy that Shia LaBeouf wrote and starred in about his childhood working on Even Stevens. And the boy in that movie is the boy in The Undoing.
Wait, it's a documentary?
No, but he wrote a movie, like a screenplay about his life. So, like, he had some fucked up shit happen to him in his childhood.
Really?
And he ended up, if, like, you remember, there was a period of time where he was, like, getting a bunch of DUIs and, like, just, like, getting in trouble with the law and stuff. So they write that into the movie that he goes to therapy. Because in real life, he goes to therapy. And he writes this screenplay while in therapy about his life. Does that make sense?
Like, actually? Did he actually?
Yeah, exactly. And that in the screenplay that he writes in therapy in real life
God.
Is Honey Boy.
Wow.
So it all, like, it's a mixture of flashbacks and present.
Okay.
And, like, him addressing his demons and also, like, you seeing what the demons are.
Shia.
It's so good. I watched it, like, 3 times.
Oh, I'm going to watch that.
But anyways, the boy who plays young Shia is the boy in The Undoing.
Interesting.
Yes. So check that shit out because it's really good.
Yeah. No, I'll watch both of those. Those sound good. I've been watching a lot of shitty Christmas movies. It's good stuff.
Yeah, you have been.
I watched the Princess Switch sequel.
I couldn't get through it. It got bad. I was
bad.
like, this is even worse than... This is, like, not good, bad TV. This is, like, bad TV.
No, they threw in a third lookalike. I was like, I can't.
Oh my gosh. It was just not Selena. Wow. It was Vanessa Hudgens in drag.
Mm-hmm.
Which is cool.
Literally.
And is a cool concept, like, in itself. But no.
It didn't work.
I stopped watching once she got kidnapped.
You're like, I can't do this.
Yeah. Well, the two supporting actors really bugged me. The entourage of the third one,
yeah, they were obnoxious.
It
was not a good movie, but I watched it.
I liked Holiday.
I did too. That was really cute.
But I hated Happiest Season.
I didn't hate Happiest Season, but I totally understand why people do. I thought it was fine, but it wasn't like good.
It's just like, I can't imagine bringing I mean, I'm not gay, but I can't imagine bringing my partner or anyone to my house and then moments before we walk in say, okay, you're going back in the closet.
Yep. I
It's
can't
so fun.
imagine like somebody doing that and being okay with that. Like I would just go home if I was in the car and they were like, oh, by the way, I'm not out to my family. I'd be like, okay, I'm not
And
coming home with you.
by the way, we're not dating anymore. But
Bye.
literally, but I just want to know, like, why did Kristen Stewart do this movie?
No idea.
If there was a plot twist that she ended up with Aubrey Plaza's character, it would have been amazing. It would have been like, oh my God, like this was hilarious. But
yes, I agree.
They really did not go that route.
Aubrey Plaza and the guy from Schitt's Creek were like, they carried that movie.
Dan Levy, yeah.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah, it was weird. But I did get a kick out of her outfits, like attempting to dress like a straight person.
Dude, but like, did you see the tweet that was like, what year was this movie supposed to be set in? Like, the fashion was so bland. I was like, that's so true.
It's like 2012 kind of like fashion.
Yes, one of the worst years for fashion.
We both just shuddered.
I know. I was just like was remembering what I was wearing in senior year of high school, and that's not a place I want to go back to.
My mom threw away my school pictures from when I was like 12, 13 because
you told her to, or because she wanted to?
No, she did, because I thought I could pluck my own eyebrows, which I do now every day, but I like destroyed my left eyebrow. It was terrible. And so for months I had like barely an eyebrow because it was just thinned to the core. And apparently she told me last year that she didn't know what I did and she thought something was wrong with me, and she asked the doctor about it, like what causes hair thinning. It was just my stupidity. So my sixth grade photo or whatever year that was, I have like a singular eyebrow and they're terrible.
And did you ask her to throw it away?
Nope.
And so she threw those away on her own?
She was like, these are not good.
I'm sorry.
I'm sure I can find one somewhere. You don't want to see them. They're bad. Listen, I was hairy, okay? I couldn't do anything about it.
I'm shocked that she threw them away.
I think there's like one left, but yeah, they're definitely
gone. That's so funny. I do have pictures, like missing school photos. I'm like, where did these go? Like, I remember taking this photo, but why have I never seen it since?
Right?
Maybe my mom threw it away. Oh no.
Maybe. Everybody has at least a couple like terrible years. For the youth listening, 13 to, I don't know. I feel like I'm still going through it. I can't tell you. Just be you.
And on that note,
now it's time to meet my mutual.
Yes. Hi.
Hey.
Welcome to the pod.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
We're good. So I guess we're just gonna jump right into it. So if you want to start out with introducing yourself, like who you are, where you're from, what do you do, and where are you based now?
Okay, yeah. So my name is Ashley Uzer. I'm based in Los Angeles currently. I've been here for about 2 years. I'm originally from the Washington, D.C. area, and I'm a writer. I'm a social media strategist. I'm honestly always doing kind of a million things. But anything with writing and kind of in the sex and dating space, I've probably touched it at some point.
Yeah. So you write for Galore and Vice and a bunch of other publications, right?
Yeah, so I am currently freelance, so I kind of write for a few different spots. I used to be full-time at Galore for about 3 years, but since then I've been freelance, so I write for different spots.
Can you tell us a little bit about like your journey with social media and what your first platform was and how you sort of grew as this online persona, I guess?
Yeah. Okay, so I'm not sure how old you guys are, but I don't know if you guys remember Zanga. Did you guys ever use that?
Yes.
Okay, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, cool. So that was my first social media platform, actually. I feel like some people skipped that and went to MySpace, but I remember Zanga. so that was my first social platform. Obviously, I moved to MySpace, I moved to Facebook, moved to Instagram. I remember I didn't want to get an Instagram for a very long time. And then at some point, like my high school boyfriend was like, you just need to get on it, like whatever. So I made one. And then he showed me that people were doing that hashtag OOTD thing, like the outfit of the day. And he's like, I feel like you would like this. And I was like, light bulb, like effect. So then literally like for the first, like, I don't even know, a very long time, like multiple years on Instagram, I only posted outfit pics. And it was just like a selfie in the mirror with like the OOTD. Like I never posted pictures of like me with friends or like anything else. So that's kind of how I started social media. And I think I've always kind of loved social media because like I've always been able to express myself a little bit better behind a keyboard, I think. Which is probably, so that's probably why I'm a writer. And I'm also like kind of shy, even though nobody like ever thinks that when they talk to me.
I would never ever guess that you were shy.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the situation, but like definitely in groups I can be kind of shy. Or like if I just feel like people aren't receiving my energy, you know?
Oh, yeah.
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 I totally understand that. So how did you start writing from social media, I guess? Or what is your writing journey?
Okay, so me writing is actually an accident. I feel like people are always like, oh, did you go to journalism school or like whatever? No. I studied fashion. I was interning in the footwear design department at Michael Kors in New York.
Oof.
And yeah, fun times. And Galore, who was like a magazine that I had found at some coffee shop once and thought was really cool, I saw on Twitter they were hiring interns and I had 2 free days a week. So I just applied and I was like, hey, I can do 2 days a week because I'm 3 days a week at my other unpaid internship.
Right.
So they were like, yeah, like whatever. So I got this job and they're like, tell us what department you want to work in. And I was like, styling, I guess, because like I work in fashion, whatever. So, and then like, I think a little before I kind of realized they wanted me to write, but like I just didn't really know what was happening. So I go in the office on my first day to some like studio apartment in Bushwick with nothing basically.
That's where I met you, was at that place. Yeah.
No. There was an older office, girl. It was like an apartment.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
And they're like, oh, you didn't bring your laptop? And I was like, no, like, isn't this like an office? And they're like, just come back tomorrow, like with your laptop, girl. And I was like, okay.
You're whatever. Like, okay, bye.
Yeah, I was like, okay, bye. I'm an idiot. I'm gonna get fired. Like, whatever.
But like, they should have told you.
I know. I mean, it was just everything's a shit show.
Interesting.
Something I've learned is every company's kind of a shit show.
Yeah.
But anyways, so they wanted me to write basically, and they're like, yeah, just come up with some ideas, like whatever. And I was like, okay, cool. Like I've always liked writing, like in school, but I never thought of it really like for fun. So I started writing for them. I like naturally, I guess, always kind of like talking about sex and dating and stuff. And like at the time, I was like 23. Living in New York for the first time on dating apps, like, so it was kind of relevant to me. And the stuff I was writing started doing well for them. So they were like, hey, like when you go back to school, because like I was just doing like a 6-month internship, they're like, can we pay you to keep writing for us? So that's how it started, basically.
That's so awesome. So and how old were you? You were in college, so you were like 20?
Yeah, I was like 21 or 22.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yes.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, they gave me the freedom to do what I wanted, which was cool. Like, I think one of the things I wrote that, like, did well for them was, like, why you should get on top more. I'm, like, this, like, 21-year-old, like,
oh my God.
acting like I know what I'm talking about. I don't know.
You're like, here, Mom and Dad, look at my new job.
I know. They were like, we're just not going to look at it. I was like, perfect.
Thank you. So, okay, if you could, like, go back to your 21-year-old self starting this writing career that you didn't even think was going to be your career, is there anything you wish you knew, something you'd tell yourself?
First off, I think things are very different now, and I was obviously like very lucky to be in the position I was in. I guess like something I would say is I think a lot of writers think they have to work for free to like make it, which obviously I did too. Like I was an unpaid intern and that's kind of how I got my foot in the door there. But I think like looking back, it took me a long time to start my personal blog because I was writing like 2 or 3 articles a day for them for like $15 an article or something. So I think maybe I wished I started my own thing sooner, because if I'm going to be doing unpaid work, I might as well be like building my own thing. Right. So I think like that's like a lot of writers come to me like asking how to get into it and stuff, and I'm like, okay, I didn't do this, so it's weird for me to tell you to do this, but like start your blog, do your writing there, because even if you don't get a job somewhere or like whatever, at least like you can do something with what you've already built instead of just doing unpaid labor for someone else that like may or may not get you a job.
And also, I think just the it's so different now. Like it's expected now to pay your interns. Like you will get backlash if like I've worked so many unpaid internships, and I'm so thankful that like the younger generation doesn't have to go through that, or at least I hope they don't have to.
It's such bullshit. I was working like a nighttime job while I had those 2 unpaid internships, and I actually have 2 interns now, and I pay both of them $15 an hour because I'm like, I
saw you were posting about that the other day. I was like, yes.
It's such, I'm like, and it's so like I feel like some people like even when I got my first job at Galore, I remember like the person hiring me, no shade to her because like she's my friend, but still, I remember when I was negotiating for my salary, and she's like, well, like my first job in journalism, I got paid like $28K, and I was like, okay, just because you got paid badly doesn't mean like I should get paid badly or the people in the future should get paid badly. Like we don't all need to suffer together.
I was just going to say I interned in PR fashion at like multiple places, and it's like very much the culture of, well, I went through this, so you have to go through this. It's like it's like they think of it as like a rite of passage, and I'm just like, no, it's not. I need money.
I've been told that so many times by people in their like 40s, and it's like, okay, but that was a very different time. Cost of living is very expensive. Like, I need to get paid.
Especially in New York.
Yeah, and it just perpetuates the cycle of privilege too. You know what I mean? Like I was obviously like, I'll recognize my own privilege. I was able to live in New York because my parents were paying my rent and my internship, my intern apartment. Like not everybody can do that.
Right.
Totally. Exactly. So also, what's your favorite topic to cover?
Definitely sex and dating and anything in that world. That's like definitely like if it was always my choice, that's pretty much what I would always write about.
So you have written some recent articles about sex, like called How to Sext, What Men Should Know About Dating Independent Women, Dating App Tips. How you kind of said that sort of fell into your lap, I guess. But what was that like? Like, how did you get started writing about what were traditionally kind of taboo topics? Like, have you always been that open about sex, or did you just sort of find yourself getting comfortable through writing?
First off, I definitely got comfortable through writing in some way. I think I've definitely always been interested in sex and like taboo topics. Like I would always read about it and like the psychology of relationships and stuff. And I think when I was younger, like I didn't always feel like I had someone to talk to about it. Which is probably why when I was younger, I had more guy friends because I feel like guys like talking about sex, whereas like I feel like my early memories of talking to girls about sex as a teenager is them being like, we heard you gave your boyfriend a blowjob. Like, why would you do that?
Right, and it's like shameful.
It's like shameful. So like it wasn't fun.
That's so awful.
So yeah. So and I feel like honestly, like not to shade anyone and not that I'm always great with my relationships, but I feel like especially at the time in college, I dealt with so many girls like that I was friends with or in my sorority or whatever that were like dealing with these guys so poorly. I'm like, why are you putting up with this shit? Why are you treating sex like it's like a reward for a guy instead of enjoying yourself? Like there were so many things that I'm like, this is like really disappointing. And not that I'm some expert, but like I want to like try to.
You're like, let me help you.
Yeah, let me help you. And same with guys, like actually, especially at the time, like a lot of my readers were guys and they were like, oh, wow. Like I wrote something about like how to eat pussy and stuff. Like, and it's something that like, I think sex in general, it just isn't something people always feel comfortable talking about. So they Google stuff.
Right.
So.
And then there you are.
Yeah. Sorry. I feel like I kind of like went around in circles with the question.
No, you're good.
You're good.
Pretty much answered it. I was just, was it ever like, was it weird at the beginning to kind of talk about that stuff?
Yeah, it definitely was. And I think at the beginning, like, I think it helped that I had no experience because then I was kind of just like, okay, like I'm just going to talk like I'm talking to my friends. But yeah, it was also weird because like people I dated would read it. And at the time I was dating.
Yeah, I was going to say like, did your exes like reach out to you and be like, hey, like.
Oh man.
I remember like I was dating a lot at the time, like on apps and stuff. So people would be like, oh, what do you do? And I would like tell them, they'd be like, oh, can I read your stuff? And I'd be like, yeah. And at the time I thought it was really cool. So I was like, yeah, like read my stuff.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, oh, so like you like sex. And I'd be like, okay, like not with you. Like,
oh yeah.
I mean, it's honestly still kind of like that. Guys are just like, oh, you're cool at talking about sex. Like, so that means like you're probably down to have sex. And I'm like, no.
No, it doesn't
Oh
mean
my
anything.
God. That's so funny.
Means I'm a good writer.
Yeah, right? So you do online date. Are you online dating now?
Okay, so actually, I'm coming up on a month of a no dating detox.
Okay.
Ooh.
What inspired that?
The guy my friend was seeing, like, ended things with her when I was kind of having a tough day work-wise. And I mean, dating just has been exhausting for me for a while now, like, because work was really busy and it's like I don't feel like texting and just like
The pandemic.
yeah, and online dating especially, it's like you're having all these like kind of small talk conversations with guys where anyway, so yeah, so we decided together to kind of take a break from it. TBD if I'm gonna continue taking a break from it or not. But like dating apps in general, like I said, like in New York, I was using them like when I was like in college, like intensely. But I feel like I go through periods of using them a lot, but they've never actually worked for me. Like I go on a lot of first dates, like insane amounts of first dates, but like nothing ever sticks. But like I have like my ex I actually met on Twitter and like I've definitely and I've definitely like gone out with guys I've met on Instagram and stuff. So like I definitely meet guys that I through online, but like dating apps I feel like feel so like
it's exhausting.
Purposeful. It's so exhausting.
It's like, I mean, Sarah's in a relationship right now, so Sarah's been out of the game for a while.
Lucky you, Caroline.
No, but Sarah, you met, not to blow your spot up, but you met your boyfriend on.
Yeah, we met on Tinder.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
6 years ago. So early days of Tinder when you didn't have to pay and there wasn't super likes and whatever the fuck it is now. But
yeah,
I mean, it's kind of funny too because we met like, I mean, maybe he was, but I was not trying to like be with somebody. Like I was like, oh, I'm just dating, and then it happens. And I feel like that's kind of how it goes. But the in between just really sucks because you just have to do that over and over again with people, and you don't know if it's going to stick, like you said.
I have a question for you, Sarah. So was he like the first guy you went out with from Tinder?
No.
Okay.
Oh, I thought he was.
Oh, no.
Girl, give us the story.
No, he was not.
Sidebar, Sarah lied to me when we first met. She told me that she met her boyfriend at a party.
I lied to a lot of people. I think my parents still think
party called Tinder.
It's like a lot more or a lot less weird now. I feel like, but I was embarrassed.
Yeah, my ex, the one I met on Twitter, when we were at dinner with his parents, like I met them for the first time, I think he's like, wait, how did you guys meet again? And my ex goes, yeah, Ashley posted a thirst trap on Twitter. And I was like, and they're like,
can we see it?
Yeah, right.
Like, why is this conversation happening right now?
Oh my God.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Wait, so Sarah, how did you guys hook up? Or how did you get together, rather?
Well,
tell me about your first kiss.
Oh my God. So we like connected, I guess, because we both had matched when I was in Boston for college and he went to a school really close by. And then we like maybe talked a couple of times. And then when I was back home for the summer in Vermont, I said that he was like still near me. So we realized that we both went to school in Boston and then both were from the same place. So he gave me his number, I think, and I just never texted him until like a month later. And then it happened to be his birthday, which was so weird. And we just decided to get dinner.
That is weird.
And, like, I know.
Wait, you got dinner on his birthday?
No. But like I texted him on his birthday. No, we got dinner a little bit after that. And then, I don't know, we went on a date and another date and then went back to school and like decided to date. I will say though, like with other guys that I met, it was more deliberately like just a casual thing. But with him, I kind of was like, oh, I want to take this slow because I kind of like you. And I had just gotten out of a breakup, so it was scary. And so I don't know if that made a difference. I'm not trying to shame anybody for jumping right into it because like you do you, but maybe, I don't know. It was just kind of random.
And it worked.
Yeah. I have no advice.
I have no advice.
Like there's no rhyme or reason to relationships. It's like literally right place, right time.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm still waiting. I'm still swiping.
Girl, same. I'm like, where's my quarantine boo? I'm available. Like, we're not allowed to leave the house. Can someone move into mine?
I know. I was joking. I was like, I just want to. Is there someone in my building? Is there a single guy in my building that like is also not going anywhere that we can just hang out together? Right? Is that asking too much?
Get some binoculars. Scope out the windows. So, Ashley, how would you like encourage other people who maybe aren't so comfortable, like you said, you had friends who felt weird talking about sex or were even a little bit shameful. Like, how would you encourage them, specifically women, to open up and like to be more comfortable with something that's very normal and part of most people's lives?
Yeah, again, like just to like
If they want
qualify.
to, yeah.
If you want to, you don't have to be like posting horny thirst traps or like
No.
horny tweets on me like I do. But yeah, it's definitely important to be comfortable sexually, especially because in your own relationships, that's how you have better sex.
Right.
So like I guess my first advice would just be to spend time sexually with yourself. And I know like a lot of people say just like masturbating, which I do concur with, but like not just masturbating. I think also like even just like exploring the internet and like checking out different porn, checking out different stories. Like there's this site called Belleza. I don't know if you guys have heard of it.
I've been on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like they have really good like resources and like stuff to check out, because like I think a lot of people, especially women, don't even know what they're really into. They just kind of like absorb what their partner's into.
Or they go off of like TV shows and movies and like think
yeah,
realistic.
So I think just like exploring, like actually going back to Zanga, I feel like I had like this weird sexual awakening on Zanga, because I found like some Zanga page where they were posting like erotic stories, basically like the kind of stuff they would have on like Belleza or like Literotica or whatever. And I would always read that shit, and it was about like power play dynamics, which like I used to be kind of into like BDSM, like a little bit more. I'm a little less into it now, but like yeah. So I think like I wouldn't have known that if I didn't like stumble upon that. And I think some people like wouldn't be open to stumbling upon it. They'd be like, oh my God, what is this? Like, bye.
Yeah, or like I'm gonna get a virus, or like
yeah. So I think that, and also like hopefully like if you have some like non-judgmental girlfriends, like I actually literally yesterday my girlfriend, we were talking about like sex toys or something, and she's like, yeah, like I don't have a vibrator. I was like, girl, I have one for you like right here. So like I've given a lot of my friends sex. I get a lot sent to me, and like I don't need that many. So
yeah.
Right.
So I've given a lot of my friends their first sex toys.
Sarah and I got our first vibrator together.
We did.
Exciting. That's so cute.
I think it was like a little like I don't want to go and do this by myself.
It is a weird thing.
Yeah. And like I was living at home at the time. Like I didn't want to order it to my house, like with my parents. Like, yeah. Yeah,
no, even for me, I feel like every time I bought a sex toy, it was like kind of either with a guy or having a guy in mind. Like I'm like, oh, I'm buying this for me and my boyfriend. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like it still took a long time for me to be like, oh, like I'm just buying this for myself.
I was just going to totally agree with what you said about like kind of branching out and finding, you know, just different ways to think about sex, maybe not necessarily porn, like other ways. Because
I'm a big advocate of taking nudes.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Or even just wearing some sexy lingerie. Like do what you got to do.
Yeah.
I feel like I remember like Cosmo used to have a like erotica section when I was you know, in high school. And that was like cool for me because it wasn't as gross as porn when I was a teen, you know, it felt like lighter. And for some girls, you just kind of have to ease your way into that stuff.
Yeah. I honestly still don't really like porn. I'm like, whatever. It's just like not my thing.
I'm very picky with my porn.
Me too.
That Belleza site is pretty good because a lot of it's like created with women in mind, which is cool. Well, we did like an Instagram poll and ask some of our listeners for questions. So if you're cool, we're going to kind of run through a couple of those.
Yeah, I would love to.
So the first one is, how do you talk to a partner about what y'all like in bed?
Okay. Okay, so I did write an article about this, so maybe I'll like send this to you guys after in case you want to like share that too, because I think that's like even I struggle with this. I think everyone struggles with it. So I mean, like there's so much that goes into it, but like first off, like I feel like especially for like our age group, it's okay to have this conversation over text. Like it doesn't need to be like some like sit down like whatever thing. Like I think a lot more people are comfortable over text, so like that's the first thing. Definitely don't do it while you're having sex because like, I mean, I do that sometimes, but like I'm comfortable and like it's different. But like, if you like have always been having vanilla sex with your partner, like in the middle of sex, you're like, hey, can you like slap me in the face?
This is boring.
Like, okay, like my boner's gone now, you psycho. Just kidding. Yep. So I think some of the best time to have this conversation, or it doesn't even need to be a conversation, just to say something,
Yeah.
is like if you guys are sexting, or like, you know, sometimes if you hook up with someone the next day, you're like, oh, like last night was so hot, like when you did this, whatever. So I feel like those are like two good times to say it. Like if I was like trying to get my partner to like play with my butthole or something, I would be like, hey, like, oh my God, last night was so hot. Like, I loved the way you were like fucking me from behind. Like, I feel like it would be really sexy if you like put a finger in my asshole too. Like, why did I use this as an example? I don't know. It's like a normal one kind of.
Yeah, no, it is. Put it out there.
Yeah. So like, I feel like something like that, because it's just kind of like lightly suggesting it and like also complimenting them at the same time.
Right.
And if they're like, oh, like, yeah, that sounds hot, but like, to be honest, like, that's weird. Like, then
Not
it's
my
okay
thing.
too.
Yeah, I mean, they can always say no.
Yeah, of course. That's also something like I think you have to respect your partner, what they want to do too. Because I think for a long time I was like, okay, this is what I'm into. Like my boyfriend better like learn how to do it right. But it's like, okay, if a guy ever did that to me, I would be like, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
Like if they're like, hey, if you don't pee on me, we're breaking up. And I'm like, okay, like what?
A lot of pressure.
Like, okay, we're breaking up.
Goodbye.
So I think just like being respectful, and also like, sorry, the last thing is like maybe being like exploring why you like what you like, because I think sometimes it's happened to me before. Sometimes your partners might be like, okay, you're into that. Like, I'm not really into that, but like, why are you into that?
Right.
And then sometimes you're like,
and then you might
like,
find something else that you're into mutually because of those reasons, you know?
Yeah.
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
Yeah. I guess similar to that, somebody else also asked, how do you tell someone that is gentle that you want to be treated like a hoe in a nice way?
Okay, we've all been there, girl, for sure. Yeah, kind of similar to like the above, like what I like said previously. Like you can use like kind of similar things. I think for this one, like porn could kind of be handy.
Yeah.
I've definitely done this before, where like maybe find like a porn video that kind of shows how you want to be treated. Especially because I think, especially if you're female and you hook up with guys, if you say like, oh, like I want you to fuck me hard, they're like, oh, okay. And it's like, not like that.
Yeah, I don't want you to like actually like really,
yeah,
not like a jackhammer situation.
Yeah.
So like I think they kind of misconstrue it a lot, especially like guys in their 20s. So I think maybe like finding probably on like Belleza or some kind of site like that where they kind of focus on women, finding like a more like rougher or like kinkier like porn video and like maybe watching it with them and being like, hey, like seeing how they think of it. If they're like, oh my God, I would like never touch you like that. Cause I feel like guys do that too, especially if it's like your boyfriend. They may be like, oh, I could never like put my hands on you. And it's like, okay. Like,
but I'm asking you to.
Please get over that.
Yeah, so then I think it's okay to be like, oh, like I know like you think that is disrespectful or whatever, but like I actually like would think it would be really sexy, like whatever. And obviously like if you're in a good relationship, like they'll probably try it. Cause I think like, not to go on a tangent, but I feel like it's kind of a Madonna whore complex thing where some guys like if it's a random girl from the bar, they'll fuck them hard, but then they're like, oh, you're like wifey type.
Oh my God, you're so right.
To you.
That's so true.
It's so annoying.
It's like that episode of Sex and the City. Isn't there a whole plot about that with Charlotte?
Yeah,
her husband like will not. Yeah. Oh, true.
So true.
We've all been there.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Our next question was, how do you spice up your sex life after dating for a long time?
Okay. I've also been here. And like it definitely is hard. I think like I'm probably not gonna say anything groundbreaking because I feel like this is a pretty common question. But I think like again, like taking time to discover like you and your partner's kinks. Like, and I think actually for guys, some guys like really know what they like and they're on it, but I think some guys, especially ones that are into more like taboo stuff, kind of don't really tap into that. So I think like taking some time with your partner to kind of like tap into stuff like, oh, you've always wanted to try this, but it's something a little weird, so you haven't like done it with random people. Like that kind of stuff is fun. Obviously, like if either of you are bisexual or into having another partner, that could be fun. Not during COVID, obviously. And like this isn't a sex tip, but like it's definitely a helpful tip. If like, especially during right now, if you and your partner are like quarantined together, spending every second together, working like side by side at the desk, you might notice that your sexual desire is going down. And like, so sometimes like spending time apart from your partner, or even seeing your partner interact with other people that like you're not related to in any way, like kind of re-sparks that sexual desire.
That's an interesting point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like distance doesn't make the heart grow fonder maybe, but like it probably makes your genitals a little more aroused.
Yeah, I was about to say it makes your pussy wetter.
Yeah. I was like trying to say it in like a technical way, but yes, that's what I was thinking.
That's really funny. We also had another question, kind of related, that said, why can't I orgasm with my partner, but I can on my own? It's been a long time. Am I the only one?
Okay, you're definitely not the only one. I know so many girls this is the case with. There's a lot of things it could be. It might just be that you're not totally comfortable with your partner. I think like as women, a lot of us kind of like are self-conscious of like what we look like, or like trying to please our partner and stuff. But one tip that has helped me immensely in my sex life, which I think is underutilized, is I play with my own clit during sex.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Wait, do people not do that?
People don't do that. Like, I've said it to people and they think I'm crazy.
I think they think that they'll be insulting the guy.
Oh, okay.
If, like, you're not doing your job good enough, like, let me get in there.
Right, but if you're with like a like somebody you trust and somebody you've been with a while, you would hope that they would want you to be happy and be pleased, and like their ego.
Theoretically.
Leave that at the door.
Theoretically.
Yeah.
A guy's ego. I mean, I've had times where I've moved a guy's hand to the right spot and they're like,
Yeah.
are you like correcting me? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
it's my body.
Yeah, like I'm trying to help you.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. That
But
makes
yeah,
me kinda
like I
sad.
know it does make me sad too, but I feel like I've had conversations with people where they're like, oh, like really? I'm like, I've been doing that since I was like fucking like 18. That's why I
Right.
always come
Yeah.
during sex. Like, no offense, guys. Like, I love my male partners, but like at the end of the day,
Plus,
it's
like
just
you're making it easier for them too. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's more fun. It's less stressful. Because I mean, it's obviously uncomfortable when a guy's really trying to make you come and he's not.
right.
Well, so how do you feel about like masturbating with your partner? Do you think that would
Like
help?
separately.
Yeah, like separately.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think that's like more like if you're someone who's a little reserved, I think that's more like vulnerable than having sex with someone in a weird way.
Yeah.
Like even I feel that way, and I'm obviously not very shy.
I definitely have a few friends that we've talked about this, and they're pretty uncomfortable with that idea, which fascinated me because I don't feel that way. But yeah, I think it could be a little bit more scary and like less intimate even.
I was just thinking that like it could show you or like show your partner like it's not you or something. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think like unfortunately, like coming back to guys being self-conscious, like I know some guys are a little like intimidated by toys. So like I think that maybe is like the hesitation for some girls. They don't want to like be like, hey, I need this like Hitachi. You're never gonna be a Hitachi buddy. Yeah, but honestly, like back to what I was saying before, it might not even be a physical thing. It might be a mental thing. I don't know. Like we're such fucking complicated creatures sometimes when it comes to that.
That's so true.
Very true.
So as you were saying, like you're clearly very open with talking about all this stuff. Have you, as your following has grown and as you've like just put yourself out there on the internet, like do you get a lot of backlash from that?
Yeah, actually, like I've been lucky that I haven't had too much backlash. It probably gets in the way of my dating life, for sure, but that's like my own doing, I guess. When I first started writing, or like in the first few years I was at Galore, I was very much on the like, oh, like all men are fuckboys kind of like beat. So I think when I was doing that, I did get like some hate from like dudes being like, oh, like you obviously got fucked over from some guy and now like you hate men, like blah,
or they'll
blah,
be
blah.
like you have daddy issues, like
okay, no, actually I have gotten that, but not even from my writing so much as like me telling a story, and some guy will be like, oh, you have daddy shit. I'm like, no, I don't.
I didn't ask.
Every girl's daddy issues, whatever.
Right, I was about to say, like, and if I did, like, that's not something to be ashamed of. Like, that sounds like a man problem.
Right. I mean, so many guys have mommy issues too, but yeah. So I haven't gotten too much hate. I mean, like people like in my life are like, you really had to post this, like whatever. But I mean, nothing like crazy. I don't think I could handle that. I'm pretty sensitive with that stuff.
You do, though, even talking with you and like in your writing, you do a really good job of mixing humor with like the facts and getting your point across and like providing insight. So what would you hope that your readers take away from your writing?
First off, thank you. And second off, I think like the main like umbrella thing is that like we're all kind of dealing with these same like things and questions and problems like related to our sex lives, like no matter how weird they are. And we all have questions about it that there isn't really like a straight answer to. And also like I kind of mentioned this before, but like women specifically, like you deserve to have a satisfying sex life. And men do too, but like I think more men already are kind of satisfied in their sex lives.
And then some.
Yeah. So I just like I wish women would like learn, and again, just like this is a huge generalization, but I wish some women would learn to enjoy sex instead of like viewing it as like a bargaining chip or like something that's taken away from you or whatever. Like I think just learn to have fun with it. And that doesn't mean having sex all the time. That doesn't mean like having casual sex or whatever. It just means like when you are having sex, it's something you enjoy and something you want to do and whatever.
So what kind of going off of that, what is your stance on just like the concept of virginity in general?
Oh, that's an interesting question.
Interesting.
You're talking about like using sex as a bargaining thing or like something to give away.
Yeah. I mean, I think like anything, even like a first kiss or like a first date or whatever, your virginity is something that is going to like be kind of quote unquote important, or it's going to be like for some people, not for everybody, it's going to be like a defining moment because it's the first time you're having sex and it's a very intimate act and it might hurt or whatever. In terms of like it being something of value for a woman, I mean, I'm not religious, so like it's never something I've even like thought of as that.
Right,
really.
same, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when I was like a teenager, I was just like, okay, I'm gonna have sex with like a boyfriend that I love, but like other than that, it wasn't like.
See, it's interesting because I was the complete opposite. I was more like, okay, I'm going to college, like I haven't had sex yet. I want to make sure I lose, quote unquote, lose my virginity. Yes. So that I'm ready to have the real sex or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
That's actually how my older sister was.
It was a bad plan, but it
but like, who cares? Done. Like,
exactly.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Sex just gets better every year, I feel like, so.
Listen, if there's anything I learned from Grace and Frankie, it's that.
Okay.
It goes on. It gets better.
So what are some types of challenges that you find that you do face in your field that some people might not realize, or what would be your advice to people facing similar obstacles? So you said you don't really get like hate or anything like that from readers or outside viewers, but what are some challenges that you deal with on the day-to-day?
I think again, like my dating life probably suffers. Like actually I was interviewing, I forget who it was, but I think it was a sex therapist because I was interested in going in that field for a while. And she was like, you have to be aware that like your dating life like is not ever gonna like recover from this. Like she's like, everybody is gonna think that like, oh, either you're trying to have sex right away or like, you know what I mean? Just like the same assumptions people make about me, but on like a way greater scale.
Yeah.
So
do you have like, if that were me, I feel like I would have like a spiel or like a little, like this is when people start dating me, I'd be like, hey, so this is what I do. This is what that means. Like, are you kind of used to it by now and you kind of know what to tell people?
It's like been easier in recent years because now it's actually not what I do full time. So like if I'm on a dating app and someone's like, hey, like what do you do? Like, I mean, last year at this time I was working at a beauty brand doing social. So like I could just be like, oh, like I'm doing social media. Even though it's like
Don't worry about
boring, it's just like easier until you really get to know them. I mean, it's also like something I think it's also besides guys just thinking you're gonna have sex with them right away, it's also like some guys, like guys I've dated are like embarrassed about what I'm writing about. You know what I mean? Like they're like, oh, like it's almost like, oh, like a wifey like isn't writing about sex on the internet kind of thing. Which is good because I don't want to date. Yeah, like I don't want to date like guys like that anyway, probably.
Right.
But
well, I was gonna say it must be a good way to weed out the losers.
100%. That's why like I'm very with dating in general. I'm very like I say all the like bad things about me because I'm like okay, like I don't drink, like I'm basically vegan, like I write about sex, like I show my ass on the internet sometimes, like if any of this bothers you, like,
take
let's
it or
not
leave
waste our
it.
time here. It's almost too much. Like, my friends make fun of me. They're like, actually, like, what? But I mean,
no, it's smart.
It's who you are. Like, they don't need to apologize for it. They need to know. They're gonna learn sooner or later.
Yeah. And then I guess the second thing, like, which I mean most people probably know, but like writers make no money. So like if you're trying to go in this industry, be forewarned. Which is actually why I don't work in a magazine full time anymore. And like I said, I kind of transitioned more into like corporate writing because I like being able to pay my bills. So
that's always nice. Yeah.
The little things.
Yeah. I'm bougie, so
yeah. So aside from all the sex and relationship advice that you give, you also post the most delicious looking vegan food. And you're like the vegan queen of LA.
Oh my
Literally.
God.
So how did you like start being vegan, and can you tell us like where do you find all these amazing meals and like how to cook them and stuff?
Okay, so I started being vegan because I was really poor when I lived in New York and I was working in a magazine, and even now I don't really call myself vegan 100% just because like, I don't know. I feel like when you put that label on it, people start like being like, well, like, why are you wearing a leather hat? Or like, why are you doing this? And I'm like, okay, like simmer down. So in New York, I decided to stop eating meat in the house because I was like, that's just one less thing I have to spend money on. But if my boss ordered pizza to the office, I would eat it because I'm like, it's free food and beggars can't be choosers.
Right.
So that's kind of how it started. And I started noticing that I felt better. Like my skin cleared up. I stopped having stomach aches in the morning. I worried way less about what I eat. Like actually since going vegan, I have a way healthier relationship with food. Like I kind of just eat what I want. Obviously I don't eat animal products, but like I'm not like, oh, like should I have a burger? Like am I going to feel guilty about it? Like I don't really, it's like made me have a healthier relationship with food weirdly. So
yeah, cool.
Yeah.
We actually had a listener question that because you do a lot of meal prepping. And they asked, how can someone who wants to start meal prepping avoid crossing into orthorexia?
Okay.
Which is like that obsession with healthy food and feeling that some things are dangerous and it can just is a slippery slope.
Yeah, some of my sisters have kind of dealt with that actually. So like I've seen it firsthand. First off, like I never look at the only label I ever look at basically with food is I look at the ingredients because first off I'm avoiding dairy and meat and stuff, but also I try to just eat whole foods mostly. So like usually if there's an ingredient list, I don't really want it unless it's like, you know, whatever. So I never look at calories. I never look at any of that stuff. Like obviously I used to, I feel like every girl had a phase where they were like, my fitness pal, like let me track my bars, whatever. So, so I don't look at labels with anything. And I just focus on trying to eat whole foods. I mean, I know that's like really basic and everyone's like, okay, thanks for the tip. Like that doesn't help me at all.
You sort of like take the pressure off and don't worry so much about the calories and like what it all means. You kind of just like eat what makes you feel good.
Yeah. And like when I look at it like that, and I've noticed it firsthand, because like people will be like, oh, don't you miss cheese? And actually I'm mostly gluten-free like in my house. Like when I go out I'll eat whatever, but in the house like I don't buy gluten stuff. So people are like, oh, don't you miss this? Don't you miss this? And I'm like, no, because then when I do eat it I feel like shit. And I'm aware of how it makes me feel, instead of being like, oh, you're not going to eat this because like you don't want to look fat or like something stupid. So I think like learning to listen to my body instead of my brain when it comes to food like helps me a lot, I guess.
That's a good tip. Yeah.
I was going to say that seems to have crossed over into your mental health too. And like you just have an overall better, like more relaxed mindset.
Yeah, 100%. It's like, it's weird because it sounds more restricting obviously, but for me it's way less restricting because I think I still buy into that like it's not true, but like, you know, like people that are like, oh, it's vegan so it's healthy, like that's kind of I still feel like that sometimes.
There's so many unhealthy vegan foods.
I know, but I'm like, oh, like it's a cupcake but like it's vegan, so like I should get it because like I'm vegan.
It's fine.
So.
I'm dead. Yeah, because one of our listeners did ask, did you feel a difference in your mental health since going vegan or pseudo-vegan?
Yeah, I mean, I would say yes. It's obviously hard because like a lot of other things have changed since I started going vegan too. Like I have a better financial situation. Like I feel like I go to therapy now. Like, you know, there are a lot of
and being in LA, there's a lot of options too for you.
Yes. That's actually like I think if I was still in New York, I would probably be like less vegan. Like I know that's not really a thing, but you know what I mean? Whereas here it's like I eat vegan probably like 99% of the time just because it's super easy.
Yeah. One of my good friends is vegan, and whenever we go to a restaurant, she either like has to eat beforehand or we have to like call ahead and like say, do you have, and they usually like will end up having like a special menu that you have to ask for, and like they have to be like prepared in advance.
Wow.
Yeah, actually, like when I was traveling like full-time kind of, and I was like based in DC, I think I lost a lot of weight because I love going out to eat. Like I love cooking, I love going out to eat, I love like all food things basically. So, but like there weren't a lot of options going out to eat in DC, so I think I just ate at home a lot, and I was going, you sometimes go through phases where you're not that into food, you're like, oh, like I just need to eat. So like, whatever. So I was in a phase like that, and I think I lost a lot of weight because I was just like over it. And then I moved to LA, and like there's so much amazing vegan food all the time.
I know, your Instagram looks so good.
Yeah, so like it's a lot better here.
Yum. All right.
I'm hungry again. Every time we record with people, I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, we always record like, it's around dinner time, like our time in New York, and Sarah's in Vermont, and I'm always like, okay, so now what am I gonna cook?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So I guess we're kind of like wrapping up here. So lastly, can you tell our listeners like where they can find you and your work, and then tell us if there's any projects that you have on the horizon that you want to plug, and if you have any links or anything, we're happy to share stuff on our social as well.
Cool. Yeah. So my main social platform is definitely Instagram. So you can definitely find me on there. I try to respond to all my comments and some of the DMs. And I am also on my blog, which I really need to change the name, but I'll give you guys the link. I need to change it just to my regular name because I made it before I was vegan. Anyways.
Wait, I'm thinking because it's Locks and Leather,
It's
right?
Locks and Leather, which like is so, nobody's really said anything, honestly.
I never put it together.
I didn't even think of it.
Yeah, but for me, I'm like, okay, like this is really stupid, but whatever. Anyways, it's like a pain in the ass to switch your like URL and your SEO, whatever. We're not there yet. Anyways, and projects on the horizon, I'm working with my friend over at Countier magazine to do a dating advice column. So like once a month I'll be answering reader questions. So like if you have more questions for me, you might want to check that out. And
clearly you're perfect for it.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's like, and they have more of a male reader base, which I've always wanted to kind of write for. Cool. So it should be cool. Otherwise, I'm trying to work on my first book. Like now that we're staying home. But we'll see, because I was supposed to like do a lot this week and I didn't. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I'm like always around. So
yeah, awesome. Hit her up.
Yeah,
that's so exciting. I can't wait to get your book.
Yeah, I'm excited. Hopefully I can find someone to publish it, but I should probably write some of it first. So
that's a good step. Well, I'm excited for you to educate these men.
Me too.
Because they need it.
Yeah, I'm trying to do it from like this perspective instead of like in my personal dating life. I'm done training men, so
I love it. And you're gonna get paid for it, so
yes. Oh, always a plus.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you so much. This was so fun, and I learned a lot, and I know our listeners are going to learn a lot.
Yay. This was so fun. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
Of course. Anytime. Thank you for listening to Meet My Mutual. We hope you enjoyed today's episode, and if you did, please be sure to like, rate, and subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen, and be sure to tell your friends about us. We welcome you to connect with us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Meet My Mutual. Thank you so much for the support. We'll see you next time on Meet My Mutual.